Girls, what's just happened?
So, there's an ice cream van there selling just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9 for 2 of them.
£9 for 2?
Yeah, £9. That is going to get nowhere. One that comes on my street is either £1 a p or £2. That is going to get nowhere with that.
No, he ain't, is it?
No, he ain't.
That's well bad, isn't
You
it?
should know. And he only does bloody card. Stood there with my cash. Bloody hell.
That's well bad, isn't it?
Bloody well bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, bet he can hear me.
Despite what anyone may tell you, women are beginning to discover the harsh realities of the world. Watch the video to fully understand how inflation is beginning to affect women, hardships are beginning to affect women, why some women may choose to continue holding on to their ego, but ultimately, the long-term effects that inflation and hardships are going to pose for women going forward, and the reasons why they're going to yell for men, and when they yell for men and say, "Men, help us," men are going to say no in a very silent whisper. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the videos.
Okay, y'all. Man, I'm crying for real right now. Like, I make $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year. My kids and I moved into my now husband's house after me living the single mom life for 3.5 years. And we move in with him and he still pays all the bills. And my $50K, tell me why my $50K a year is only paying for food, gas, groceries, car payment, car insurance, and like little small debt payments every month. Like, what the fuck are we supposed to do out here, guys? We can't afford our lives. Like, I'm 35 fucking years old. And you know what's crazier is I'm lucky enough to have, like, worked my ass off to, like, create jobs for myself over the last couple of years. And every single year, I have managed to have a job that has paid me more. And it doesn't fucking matter because everything just keeps getting more expensive. Oh, y'all, I'm so tired of being discouraged. But, like, I've basically, like, if you go on Indeed or any of these other job sites, I know so many of you have experienced this. You apply to like hundreds of jobs. Nobody gets back to you or you don't get the job because of XYZ reason. And guess what? The job can't even pay for your fucking life. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm just like, what in the fuck? Like, what are we doing? Like, how do we get this to change? Do they just want us to like fucking rot and die? And like be homeless? My kids go to public school. I don't have a fancy car. We don't have a fancy house. I don't buy extra shit. I'm just like going to the grocery store every week, every few days going, I can't believe I just spent another $150 just to feed my kids. What the
Is anyone else on the inflation diet? Because I am. I hope I lose weight at least. Shit.
Excuse my face. This is like the main state of how I feel every time I leave the grocery store at this point because this shit is stupid. It's fucking stupid. I had to sell 2 of my Nintendo Switch games that were mine to be able to come to the grocery store and grab a couple things for the next week. I only got $32 for the games. For both of them. One of them goes for $32 already at the store. So how I got $32 for both, I have no idea. I got $32. I came to Aldi. Because Aldi is supposed to be cheap, right? And I got stuff, tortilla shells, tortilla chips, lettuce, garlic bread, potatoes au gratin, and, hold on.
milk. I had other stuff too. I had coffee because I'm out of coffee, creamer, and hamburger buns. And the total was over what I could afford. So I had to put the hamburger buns back, my coffee, and the creamer back. Which isn't really that big of a deal, but I make too much money not to be able to afford a couple things for groceries. I make too much fucking money. So instead of going and getting stuff for 2 meals, I have one. The tacos are 2. Oh, I do have 2 meals. Okay. 3 or 4 meals. That's what I was trying to do because of the hamburger buns. Now I have enough for tacos, which I can take the meat and make that into something else, I guess. But, and then I don't have the stuff for the hamburgers now. The chicken Tuscan thing that I was going to make tonight, which we can eat that a couple times this week, I guess. But this is just terrible. And then the taxes, oh my god. I'm having a really hard day. I'm having a really hard day, and I still need to get gas. And I don't know where I'm gonna get the gas. So I hope you guys are doing better than me on this Sunday, because I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well at all.
Women are discovering what it means to truly be independent. They're discovering what it's going to be like entering into old age, not having anyone to help you or anyone to support you, realizing that the government is not always going to be there for them. The government is not always going to rescue them. The government is not their friend. Ronald Reagan, back in the 80s, he said, some of the most frightening words, or the most frightening words in the English language are, "Hello, I'm from the government and I'm here to help." You see, women don't understand the state is not their friend. The state is basically just their collaborator and their co-conspirator. All they've done is they've traded in men for the state, for basically some money and privileges. But soon, as soon as the state doesn't have men to stand up to it anymore, they can do what they want. Those privileges will go away. And the state's not going to spend this money on people that are no longer able to reallocate wealth and resources to it. The value of women in society is based solely around their ability to allocate wealth and resources from men and back to the state, and they get a cut for that. As women lose the ability to do this, the state ultimately says, well, then you have no value to me. The state does not care how pretty a woman is, okay? Her attractiveness is only as valuable as her ability to attract a man, or to use her attractiveness to reallocate wealth and resources from men to the state. That's it. The state is nothing more than a machine that is running to do its own work, to basically enrich its own self, to make profit for itself, to confiscate value from men and bring it to itself. That's it. Women don't understand what they have done. They don't understand what they've done. They've basically shifted, authority over themselves to the state. They basically made the state their daddy, but they didn't realize that, there are major consequences and implications that come with that. When you look at hyperinflation right now, women are on social media crying their eyes out, and they don't understand men are not going to come back. Men are not going to just turn around and say, after all women have done in society, come and rescue them from their poor choices and their poor decisions. These hardships are here to stay, and women are going to have to deal with the brunt of it. Yes, yeah, babe, I know it's hard. Deal with it, dear. Deal with it.
How are people affording life right now?
Credit card debt.
Serious question.
How are you guys surviving right now? Because let me tell you, I am stressed to the fucking max. I had to decide if I was going to pay babysitter for a full week so I could work, or if I was going to put food on the table. I work 3 jobs. Full-time at a gas company. You know, I get paid well. Work part-time. I do billing and data entry on the computer. And then I serve a couple days a week. And it's still not enough. I don't understand.
I haven't joined in on complaining about anything in the economy, but when I saw this, I was like, you have got to be kidding me. You mean to tell me Tostino's pizzas are now $3.49 a piece? And if you don't believe that, let me show you. I swear when I was a kid, these were 10 for $10, $1 each. $3.49, $3.49, $3.49, $3.49. What in the high holy of any and all hell has this world come to? $3.49 for one Tostino's pizza. My husband's only getting 2. That's it. I ain't fucking paying no more.
I'm having a day. Or I'm having a life. I don't know, man. I just don't know what to do anymore. I'm sitting outside work, crying my eyes out in my vehicle. Because I can't function anymore. Financially, I don't understand anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills. I can't even literally keep gas in my car to get to work 3 days a week because I can't afford it. Like, I get paid and it goes to car, mortgage, a couple little bills, and then maybe $80 in food for the week. And I literally only buy groceries when my daughter's home now. On the weeks that she goes with her dad, which is Monday to Monday, what I've started doing is I buy a loaf of rye bread, and I work really hard to keep that one loaf of rye bread lasting me the whole week, and I eat peanut butter. So I'll eat peanut butter toast whenever I'm hungry. And it's been fine. It's been working just fine. I'm good with that. That's fine. But last week, I guess I was a little extra hungry a couple days, so I had toast in the morning and toast in the evening, which that's not in my budget. So I ran out of bread on like the Thursday or even the Friday. I don't know. Either way, at 47, I had to see if my mother could buy me a loaf of bread so that I could eat for the weekend before my daughter got home. Because if there's any food in the house, I'm not fucking eating one bit of it. I'm saving everything I can for her. Because then she gets home and she's not surviving off fucking toast. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I don't understand why things are so hard right now. I apparently make too much money to receive any financial benefits or help of any kind. I don't get GST. I don't get like the grocery benefit for single parents, even though I'm a single parent, but I apparently make too much money. I can't reach out to certain resources or any resources because I make too much money. You're going to die when I tell you what I pay for a mortgage right now. $400 every 2 weeks. And I'm dying. I have to renew my mortgage for February. And I already know that my mortgage will be less, but my payments are going to be probably $400 more a month. I don't know how to budget that in. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to sell stuff on Marketplace. I'm trying to find stuff for a yard sale. You know, I feel like I take 1 step forward and 8 steps back. Like, I get pushed back 8 steps. Not that I take 1 step back. I'm just being forced to go back. My crawl space in my house right now literally has like 8 inches of water in it. And it has for months. And it's like filled with mold. And so all I've been doing for the last few days is going online trying to figure out how I could get a septic pump. And then if I can actually sell enough stuff to afford one, then I have to learn how to install it. What? I literally have to learn how to install it. Because I don't have any help. I don't have anybody.
Women are going to be shocked and absolutely devastated when they discover just how cold men have become. And they're going to say, "Men, why are you so cold? Why are you acting like this? We're all human beings. We're all Americans, or we're all Canadians. We need one another. We're brothers and sisters." Don't forget, guys, when the sisterhood came after me a few months ago, because I said to them, "Listen, if you're not in a relationship, if you're not married, if you're not having children, you're going to be excluded from the family unit as outside of your immediate family, and you'll need to turn to the state to provide for you." And she immediately called me a predator. A predator because I told her, "Listen, bro, you need to go to the state and have the state help you. I'm not," she was like, "Oh, we are brothers and sisters, and, we need one another. And the biggest problem that ever happened was the notion of marriage and physical intimacy. These things are not important. You're supposed to take care of one another. I love you, my brothers. I love you, my sisters." No delusional, no Miss Delulu. Basically, you realize the writing is on the wall. You know that you can't help yourself. You want men to come and subsidize your living once again. You bring nothing to the table. You're basically saying that we're supposed to provide for you just because now the state can't help you out anymore. The state does not want to subsidize the living of a childless cat lady, okay? Your job is to reallocate wealth and resources from men to the state. If you're not able to do your job, the state does not give a fuck about you, okay? Lady, keep it moving. You will be in a homeless camp with the rest of them. You'll be in the homeless camp. You'll be in Tent City, all right? And we all know that Tyrone is the king of Tent City. Women put themselves in this position, but now they do not want to face the consequences for the choices that they've made. They don't want to deal with the consequences of the decisions that they've made. Guys, modern women chose this. They chose women's empowerment. But now that, the bill has arrived, the check has arrived, men are woken up and realized that the juice was never worth the squeeze, that we have the value. They're pissed off. They're pissed off because they can no longer easily extract wealth and resources from men. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this article. It's so interesting. All right. So this article is titled as "I make $20,000 a month with a job I can do whatever I want. I absolutely love it." So initially you think, "Oh, wow, so that sounds great." But then you find out what it actually is. And they're actually trying to peg this as a side hustle. Side hustles allow people to make extra income, lining their pockets and working towards the future. They come in many forms, including a woman who makes $600 at a time selling used sofas. So that sounds good, right? Just hear me out. While another woman earns $129,000 a year thanks to her pasta cooking side hustle. This woman's side hustle became her sole source of income thanks to her huge success. Skyla Black has made large sums of money from posting snaps online. The young woman posting snaps online. This is her side hustle, right? The young woman found her pictures became hugely popular on Instagram, where her following boomed. Skyla, who's posting online since early 2021, took to TikTok to explain exactly how she makes her huge income. She told her followers, I started an Instagram account in January 2021. I was basically posting lingerie stuff. My following popped off so much people thought I bought fake followers. By April 2021, the content creator began to consider sharing her content with more people online. She finally signed up to a popular subscriber site when her Instagram account had 40,000 followers. She said, "As you can imagine, my first month was very well paid. That first month, I think I earned I had around 1.5 thousand fans. I'm not going to beat around the bush. In my first month, I made $20,000. Skylar's financial triumph wasn't a one-off event. As of February 2023, she proudly claimed that she was still making the same sum each month, meaning she had pocketed a staggering $440,000 in total during that time frame. I absolutely love it, Skylar told her followers. As well as her huge salary, Skylar boasts a $54,800 car, the BMW 11/8i. So, guys, oh, this sounds really nice until you read between the lines. I investigated this. I'm not going to show you anything because it would actually not be appropriate. You see, it said that she was posting lingerie pictures on Instagram, and then her following boomed, and then she joined a subscriber site. If you go to her Instagram, you'll find a link to her dun 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 OnlyFools account. She's an OnlyFools model, all right, and she's doing, and guys, this is, and she's an OnlyFools model, so this is sex work, all right. She's a sex worker, and they're calling it a side hustle. And guys, this is the future. This is the future for young women. The future for young women is this type of nefarious work, because they've now worked to normalize this type of thing. This is a complete and utter normalization of this type of degenerate behavior. And you have credible websites now. You literally have credible websites. You have the mainstream media now pushing OnlyFools as an actual career that is empowering. And this is what women are so proud of it. And then when they, when things don't go well for them with it, they say, oh, if it wasn't for men, then we wouldn't be doing this. Men are the ones to blame because on one hand it's empowering, but on the other hand, men are the ones to blame for it, because if men weren't buying, they wouldn't be selling. This is, guys, the lack of responsibility and accountability. It will never end, which is why men have to keep walking away. But on the other hand, there is a huge surge in the number of women committing theft. Oh, you heard me right. All right, check this out. Surge in number of women being jailed as overcrowding crisis grips prisons. Yeah, it would be fine if it was men, but now it's women, so they shouldn't be punished. Listen to how terrible this simp article. A government pledge to cut the number of female prisoners as a wider overcrowding crisis grips the sector. So they've pledged to put fewer women in prison for committing crimes. Pledge, guys. So it's okay, men belong in prison, but as more and more women are being charged with crimes, they're pledging, the government is pledging to put fewer women in prison for their crimes. This is an insane society we live in. Some 3,604 women were behind bars at the beginning of October this year, up 15% since January, which amounts to nearly 500 more women. And the most recent Ministry of Justice data estimates that the number will surge to 3,800 by November next year. The Prison Reform Trust said it was concerned the figures showed a reverse of a more than decade-long trend, which saw the number of women in prison fall substantially from 7,418 in 2014 to 4,120 in 2022. It comes as the number of people imprisoned in England and Wales has surged to a record level, with just 557 spaces left, with ministers considering releasing prisoners early, female prisoners early, in a rush for ways to ensure prisons do not run out of available spaces. The issue has been impacted by a push for longer prison sentences and lengthy court backlogs, clouding the system with remand prisoners awaiting trial. Okay. Campaigners warned the latest figures on the female prison population undermine the government's commitment to cutting the number of women in prison, arguing that short sentences often handed out to women fuel reoffending. Okay, so it's okay to keep men in prison for whatever reason and keep growing the male prison population, but because women are now heading off to prison, because more women are committing crimes and being incarcerated, they're saying that women who, for especially short sentences, they should not be placed in prison. Research by the Prison Reform Trust found 6 in 10 women sent to prison last year were sentenced to less than 6 months behind bar. So the argument is that women are more likely to reoffend and commit crimes if they're sent to prison. Guys, do you hear the madness? Do you hear the insanity? Women are more likely to commit crimes if you send them to prison. So the key is to let them not is to keep them out of prison and just let them keep on committing crimes. Shoplifting was the most frequent offense, making up just over a third of women's prison sentences, shorter than 6 months in 2022. This is a far larger proportion than men, for whom theft from shops makes up just 16% of sentences of less than 6 months. So guys, women are committing theft at alarming rates compared to men. Over a third of all women that are now in prison are there for theft. Over a third. All right, versus 16% in men. So women are stealing at high rates. And the argument is that they should not be sent to prison for this because it's only going to result in them reoffending. It's not the right place for them. Guys, this is wow. Researchers found stark differences between police forces in nothing shire 73% of jail sentences handed out to women last year were for less than 6 months, while 43% given to women were shorter than 6 months in Merseyside. Indy Cross chief executive of Agenda Alliance told the Independent, banging a mom up for theft from shops, such as stealing nappies or cowpole for a child, is not the answer. They are so full of it.
Come on, you think me getting naked, so if I just took off my clothes and said take some pictures with me, that would be as easy as building that building?
No, it's different, obviously, but I do think that both of them have difficulties.
No, but equal.
No such thing as equal.
Okay, I would say one, but you have to pick which one's harder.
I won't pick one. No, not for me, man.
Taking off clothes. Oh, come on.
You don't. If you just take out your clothes, you're not going to make the money that a guy is going to do. You know how much they make?
There are women making $1,000, $1 million a month on OnlyFans. There are women making $1 million a month on OnlyFans. Yeah. And you think that's more important than the men who are building these roads, these structures?
No, I'm not saying that.
So what are you saying?
I'm not saying it's more important. I say that it has the same value.
How does it have the same value if it's not as important?
I mean, guys, as you can see, guys are furious. This guy literally came out of left field and unleashed the Kraken. All right? Guys are exhausted. Men are tired of this nonsense, these games. Women believe that being on OF, Only Fools, provides the same value to society as construction workers, men who build buildings, who spend, use their bodies to erect tall structures. It's the same value, all right? Women provide the same value as men who do blue-collar work, as men who labor for sometimes 16 hours a day, as men who risk their lives for the eases that we enjoy, to put up structures, to repair things, all these things. They think that that pornography has the same value to society. And they won't say that jobs are equal, but they provide the same value. And they're just as difficult as each other. So pornography, specifically being on OnlyFools, is just as difficult as being a construction worker. Because it's not just the act of removing one's garments. Oh, it's further than that, because you have to know how to promote it. You have to understand how social media works. You have to know how to take the right kinds of pictures. Are you really kidding me? And as that guy pointed out, that there are some girls making $1 million a year, $1 million a year on OnlyFools, $1 million a month. My correction. Oh, check that out. How wrong I was. $1 million a month on OnlyFools. By the way, guys, for those of you that don't know, there was speculation that Black China had made like $200 million on OnlyFools, and then she went on Tucker Carlson, I think it was, and claimed that she had only made $2 million. Guys, Black China has a giant, let me say it again, giant following on Instagram. There are a lot of women who have like just maybe a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram, and some of these women are making like $50,000 a month or $200,000 a month. All right, or more than that. And Black China, someone who was on television, married to Rob Kardashian, who is intertwined with the Kardashians, right, and has a giant social media following, was only made, and she was on OnlyFools 4 years, is only made $2 million on the platform in that entire time. And now she's a Christian again. Guys, first off, if you notice her words, she never actually said, though, that she only made $2 million for the lifetime. She just goes, I only made $2 million. Yes, $2 million a month, maybe. All right? Maybe $2 million a month, because she wants everyone to believe that she only made $2 million on the platform when it was speculated that she was the highest paid person on the platform previously. The highest paid person on the platform. And now she's like, she's just going to leave everything to Jesus and let him figure out how she's going to survive and make it. Does that make any sense to y'all? These women are at a point of no return. I was like, responding to a comment to this woman, a Black woman on YouTube, and she said that, men need to teach them. Don't abandon them, teach them. And I responded to her and I said, it's too late. It's like these women don't realize it's too late. Men are done. Guys, look how, I don't know where this white dude came from, all right? But he came with fire and fury. He came with fire and fury in this video, okay? Because dudes are tired of this. Guys are tired of this. And then when you have women saying things like, oh, I'm going to do it, and I work 40 hours a week, you work 40 hours a week, so don't expect me to do all the housework. Okay, check this out. You work 40 hours a week. I work 40 hours a week. But how much of that are you contributing to the household? Because I'm paying the rent and practically every bill in the house. What do you pay? And sometimes she'll go, I pay for electricity. How much is the electric bill every month? Like $200, $300. Okay, and how much are all the other bills in the house? Rent and everything else? She goes silent. She goes absolute silent. All right? So the guy is there spending $2,000, $3,000 a month to her $300, if that. Sometimes he's even paying her phone bill. So he's working 40 hours a week. She's working 40 hours a week. He's paying all the bills in the house. Her money is her money. And when he comes home, he needs to contribute equally to the house. Oh, really? And the moment, because they talk about being progressives, they talk about being progressive, but they don't want equality. They don't want true equality. They want men who basically are men who just basically allow them to do whatever they want to do and have no backbone. Basically, do more, get less. She's like, well, we have to work 2 jobs because you can't afford to hold me down. Wait, I can't afford to hold you down? Because last I checked, I'm the one paying all the bills. I'm the one covering everything in the house. What you do with your money is what you do with your money. My money is our money. Your money is your money. So exactly what are you talking about? You mean if I was a real man, I would be able to give you what? Because you make $60,000 a year, but I pay for everything. I pay all the bills. So if I was a real man, on top of providing every single thing in the household, including food, because I pay for food too. You don't pay for food. You don't pay for our groceries. If I was a real man, on top of everything else I provide, I would also give you $60,000 a year in spending money. Like, guys, how insane is it? How insane is it? So, as you guys can see, the article is titled "Video Shows Open Air Soliciting in Yet Another New York City Neighborhood." Another one, right? Like DJ Khaled, another one. As ladies of the night stroll in broad daylight. I'm actually restarting this video because I tried to play the video, but it was just so unbelievable. This is from the New York Post. It was just so bad, I would not risk putting it on YouTube. So let's just go ahead and read this. The raunchy old days are back in East New York, where some blocks, that's a neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York. The raunchy old days are back in East New York, where some blocks are overrun by ladies of the night hawking early morning adult work, with one strutting her stuff nearly completely undressed in the middle of a street. Shocking new footage posted online shows the YouTube video, East New York Ep 2, was shot at 7 a.m. on July 28th along Stanley Avenue near Sheffield Avenue and has already garnered 5,000 views. A woman wearing a see-through orange negligee and silver platform heels can be seen walking back and forth in front of a parked car next to a trash truck in an industrial block. Then, a woman who appears to be undressed from the top up with an open jacket on walks in front of oncoming traffic. Next, a woman wearing a see-through purple negligee and strappy high heels trips as she tries to talk to a potential client in a car, as a woman wearing a tiny black teddy with a cut-out stomach watches from across the street. So this is unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff, guys. Unbelievable stuff. Just down the road, a lady of the night wearing a stringy negligee with the thigh-high black boots walks down the center of the roadway, waving and smiling at passing drivers. Another streetwalker in a barely there orange outfit is seen walking past a Department of Sanitation building on Georgia Avenue. The YouTube user posted the first episode online on July 3rd. So this is some crazy stuff. And it showed the trade, okay, the lady of the night trade on Pennsylvania Avenue, and received 448,317,000 views according to the site. The scene in the disturbing videos reminded retired detective and John Jay College professor Michael Alcazar, who worked in East New York 75th precinct, of rampant open air lady of the night work in the lawless 1990s. Guys, so basically back in the 1990s, when Mayor Dinkins was mayor in the early 1990s, it was terrible. All right, you had 42nd Street. A father wanted to make his son a man. He would take him down to 42nd Street, get him a lady. This is just how it worked in New York. Those were scary days for me personally, growing up during that time. My parents loved it. That should just tell you the kind of people that they were. But New York was a very different place, and then Giuliani came around, and he cleaned everything up. He shut down 42nd Street, built stores there, and he really turned New York around. However, everything bad about the 90s is coming back to New York right now. The lawlessness, everything. In the 75, we would drive down areas. Okay, so let's check this out. Yeah. In the 75, we would drive down areas where there were waves of them, said Alcazar, who was on the job for 3 decades. It's sad because we cleaned it up and now it's back. And with that, they're also trafficking, people who are underage. Alcazar said when he was an undercover officer, the NYPD would arrest 13-year-olds and get them help. They look at the guys who they're working for like they're going to take care of them, he said. They don't know they're being used. And I wanted to show you guys a video, but it's just like it's so bad. There's evidently over 300 of these guys that are, these managers that are managing the ladies of the night. You know what I'm talking about. So these women there's 300 of these guys in just New York alone, are just like in this neighborhood alone. 300. It's unbelievable what's going on. Unbelievable. And all of this is happening as password bros are walking away from Western society, going overseas and starting new lives and not looking back at all. And by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and never miss another video again, and like the video, because it tells YouTube you're enjoying the content, so YouTube will show you more of it. But I mean, guys, this is some really, truly unbelievable stuff that we're seeing in lawless news. It's not getting any better. It's not getting any better in the West. No matter who's in office, it's only going to continue to degrade. We are basically living in the age of Babylon. We are living in the age of Babylon. And guys, you have to just know that your only power as a man is to walk away. Because as men, as the password bros are leaving, these women have become brazen. They're on the streets. They're out there advertising. They're not afraid of anyone. All right? They're not afraid of being picked up by law enforcement. All right? They don't care. They're going. This is the OF generation, y'all. This is what OF has done to society. People don't really seem to comprehend that OF is just a gateway. It's just a gateway for this stuff. Because when OF stops paying, or when the pay isn't good enough, you have to remember that most women on OnlyFools only make a couple $100s a month. Like literally a couple hundred, like $400 a month, if that. All right. But what it does provide is an opportunity to meet up with guys on the service who are soliciting, who are looking for something more. And that does happen quite often. And he'll meet up with these guys, and these guys will, provide for them and basically give them the sugar daddy treatment. But it's not good stuff. Or these women will just turn to the streets because they're like, well, I'm already doing it on OnlyFools, so I could do it on the street. When I was growing up, there was a girl I went to school with, and she was not American. She came from a good family. Her family were not Americans, but they immigrated to the United States. And as you know, immigrant families, they tend to be, very strict with their kids. They tend to have higher standards. The children typically perform better in school. And we went to school together, and my goodness, there was, I started hearing stories about her. After we graduated from middle school, we went to middle school together. After we graduated from middle school, I started hearing stories about this girl. And girls, I remember distinctly her fixing we were at graduation together, I recall, and she was fixing my collar at graduation, so I knew her pretty well. And I thought that things would, she lived literally 1 or 2 houses from me. I knew her brother really well. And I started hearing stories that this girl was out there in the streets. And I'm like, what? That she was out there in the streets soliciting. And I'm like, no, this can't be true. And my brother had a friend. And he saw his friend saw this girl, right? And he said, how you doing, miss? And she ignored him. And he said to her, Oh, so you don't want to talk to me now, huh? You were calling me when I was over by so and so street, but now you don't want to speak to me. And I'm like, okay, this is insanity. This is insanity. This can't be true. This can't be true. It turns out, instead of going to high school, she didn't bother going to high school. She went straight to the streets with these other girls. And they started working the streets. She came from a good family. And her brother was so furious. Man, that guy, her younger brother, he was my younger brother's age. So he was 2 years younger than me. And her brother was 2 years younger than him. It was crazy. Her brother was 2 years younger than her, right? Just like my younger brother. And it was just madness because he was a grown guy and his sister was out in the streets and he couldn't handle it. And then here's what she ended up doing. She went from the streets, and then when her parents were gone, she would just start bringing dudes into the house. So this kid is in there, and she has men just coming in and out of the house, in and out of the house. So she started running her business from her parents' house. I remember her name, but I won't say it to y'all because maybe y'all can Google it and find it. Because the internet is forever, right? You could Google her name and what she was doing. It would pop up. So I'm not giving y'all that. But evidently, it was her parents eventually like shipped her outside of the United States. Like they sent her overseas. They sent her overseas. That's how bad it was. Her brother was so angry and so furious. It was just painful. Painful to see, man, to see a brother speak of his sister this way. It was something on it. It was just like, and to see the look of disgust and fury on his face. I mean, think about this. This man is in his house playing PlayStation, and some dude is telling him to scoot over. He got next. Like, what? Like, yo, man, scoot over. I got next. What? No. Guys, this is the lawlessness that is returning to Western society. As men are walking away from Western society, go overseas, starting new lives, finding wives, girlfriends, or just starting over and finding their peace, and have no intention of coming back to the West, or if they come back, it's just to work, make their money, and pick up and go again. I'm telling you. All right? This is it. I titled another video, Women Have Reached a Point of No Return. Women have reached a point of no return. All right? They have reached a point of no return. And what you're going to see is more of this happening all around the country. Because that's what Only Fools really is there for. It is a gateway to this. All right? A lot of women use Instagram for this, where they solicit on Instagram. They go looking for a John on Instagram. However, don't forget that Instagram is just a gate. Twitch is just a gateway to Instagram. Instagram is just a gateway to Only Fools, and Only Fools is just a gateway to the streets. So we have an article today from Newsweek, and it's quite interesting. We know that women make up the vast majority of all college students now. However, the article is titled, "College Kids Are Abandoning American Values. It's Going to Destroy Our Democracy." Let's go ahead and jump into it. And as you can see from this image right here, most of the people shown in this picture are young women. And if you notice, most of the guys are silent. Most of the guys in the picture are pretty quiet, pretty tame. Look at these solemn faces in the front, right? But then you have all these young women, throwing their hands up and hooing and hollering. Yeah. The college kids are not all right. A new poll from the Buckley Institute surveyed students at four-year colleges, and the results are deeply alarming. Young Americans are turning their backs on basic American principles of free speech tolerance, and due process in a way that's so drastic, it genuinely endangers the future of our political order. And it's this disintegration that's only accelerating. The Buckley Institute has conducted this poll for 9 years. Yet, this year, for the first time ever, more students support shouting down speakers they disagree with than oppose this kind of mob censorship. In another first, a whopping 51% of students support speech codes, a drastic shift from last year when a plurality opposed speech codes. What's more, 46% of students now believe that offensive opinions should get other students reported to the university administration. Oh, and more than 50% of students literally believe certain topics should be banned from being debated on campus. Guys, it's so interesting because there's a lot of you guys in my comments now saying things like, oh, well, recent studies show that the majority of Gen Zers, or of high school Gen Zers, males are now becoming more conservative. Yeah, and in that same study, it found that Gen Z women are also becoming more liberal. And you have to consider that while Gen Z women as a majority are becoming more liberal, all right, even though you have some Gen Z males becoming conservative, all right, you also have a large portion of them going towards liberalism. At the end of the day, you're still going to end up with a significant portion of Gen Z that's choosing to go towards liberalism and towards censorship and expunging values that basically say that we need censorship, we need to walk back on American values, the Constitution needs to be amended. That's really where we're at right now. There's a lot of you guys that are like, oh, things are going to get better, we don't have to worry about it. It's not going to get any better. A lot of you guys just don't get it. It's not going to get any better. The best thing you can do is to opt out and walk away. It's not going to get any better. And I keep on saying it because I need guys to wake up and understand that concept. It's just going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse. Don't be optimistic. Things will not improve in our lifetime. The only improvement is men walking away. That's the only improvement that you're going to see. Guys that are like, oh, there are laws changing. Yeah, but not fast enough. And at the end of the day, we're not going to have the kind of reversal that's necessary to really bring about real change. It doesn't matter how much things actually were to change. Men don't want to engage in Western society anymore. Okay? When you have a lot of women in society today that have an extraordinarily high body count, guys don't want to engage anymore. Guys are like, yeah, you know what? I'm opting out. That's not something that I'm interested in. If I'm looking for something, if I'm looking for an actual relationship, then I'm going to go overseas. That's really what it's at right now. Let's continue. All right, so there's also an alarming violent twist to the censorious, I cannot pronounce that, but it's a form of censorship, I think, rising among Gen Z college students. A whopping 45% of students told pollsters it is justified to use physical violence to prevent people from expressing hate speech or making racially charged comments. This radical, un-American idea is only becoming more popular. Back in the 2017, for example, only 30% of students supported this proposition. See the pattern yet? Many young college students don't respect the basic American ethos that reigned supreme for so long of, I may disagree with what you say, but I defend to the end, you're right to say it. And rather than addressing this problem, we're seeing it continue to get worse and worse. This isn't sustainable. For a long time, defenders and apologists of campus illiberalism argued that it's just happening on college campuses, and that this is how some of you guys are. This is what I'm talking about, because there's a lot of you apologists in the comments. All right, a lot of you apologists in the comments. You're saying that it's only happening on college campuses, and that Berkeley and Harvard have always been niche hotbeds of crazy. They'll grow out of it, basically. But we've actually seen the opposite phenomenon play out in recent years. College graduates are taking their illiberal attitude toward speech and debate with them into the workforce and perpetuating them at the highest level of media, corporate America, and government. That's why we see low-level Spotify employees revolting against and trying to silence one of the app's most popular podcasters, Joe Rogan, for daring to talk to people with dangerous ideas. Guys, daring to talk to people with dangerous ideas. So they want to completely shut down any discourse, any discussion of ideas they don't like. They don't want other people hearing them either. Not only will they not listen, they don't want them being discussed. These are topics that should not be discussed. So this is extraordinary form of thought policing, and they're only going to use. It's only going to get worse, because these are the same people that are going to want to use technology to do things like control how we can think, how we behave, how we react. I mean, Facebook has been doing it for years, conditioning what you can say and what you can't do on their platform. And that's not just Facebook, it's various different platforms. YouTube does it, all the platforms do it, but it's only going to become more extreme in the real world, where they're going to thought police you. All right, they've been doing this on college campuses, and now they're going to do this in the real world. They're going to do it at the highest level of every company, of every institution. Basically, oh, you want to work here? Well, this is how you're allowed to think. And it's not going to be enough for people who just avoid contact with one another and say nothing. Oh no, they're going to quiz you on these things. They're going to drill these things into you. They're going to indoctrinate you. They're going to give you training on them. It's there's no way that you're going to be able to avoid it unless you disengage from everything. You say, you know what? I'm cutting myself off from this. I'm done. I'm pulling back, and I'm only going to work when it's remote work. And that's one of the things that most guys really need to be working towards right now, either remote work or working for yourself in a capacity where you can do your own thing and you're not constantly tied to someone else who can dictate, your movements. Yeah, that's really how it is. That's the only way that you're going to escape this thing, because there's still jobs that have to get done, and they have to hire the people with the skills to do it, right? But you have to be able to say, yeah, I'm not going to be around these people. Oh, you want to have a conversation? We could do that on Skype. And that's really how it is, or we don't need to even communicate like that at all. Basically, here's the labor that you're asking for. I provide the labor, you provide the pay, and then our business is done at the end of the week. And I don't want to get involved with your politics or anything else. That's all there is to it. And like I said, there's plenty of opportunity for guys that are going into blue collar work. Basically, you go, you do your job, and you leave. You're a roofer, great. You're an electrician, great. You're a handyman, garbage man, you're a plumber, great. You go in, you do your work, and you leave, and you charge very, very good. You charge like you're a doctor. You charge more than a doctor. All right, you charge good. And if they don't like it, then their roof is going to continue leaking, and it's only going to get worse until they need to replace the entire roof. And they're going to say, where have all the real men gone? And the real men aren't giving away their labor anymore. They're not giving away their kindness anymore. The real men are done. Real men take care of themselves, not society. Because society was built for men. Okay, society was built for men. But the way that society is geared today is it's all about, some guy said this to me, that America is for women and babies. And that's the honest to goodness truth. Society is not built for men anymore. It's built to use men to extract wealth and resources and then reallocate those resources to others. And that's how it is. And the only way that you win is if you stop playing by their rules. Okay? Stop playing by their rules. Stop contributing. Stop giving your wealth and your value away. That's how you rule. That's how you roll. Stop having relationships in Western society. Say no, walk away. That's the only way you're going to win at this game. It sounds harsh, but it's the honest to goodness truth. And you have to wake up and realize it. You have to wake up and realize it. Because if you don't, then there's nothing left. It's why we see Netflix employees complaining about airing controversial comedian Dave Chappelle's special, despite his tremendous popularity. It's why we see young members of Congress calling ideas they disagree with policy violence. And it's why we see big tech companies increasingly acting with total disregard for open debate and due process alike. The college graduates that staff up these institutions have taken the corrosive campus ideology with them into their next stage of life. Guys, just imagine when some of these people inevitably begin to serve in the Supreme Court. Imagine when these people become judges at every level. Imagine when they become federal judges. Imagine when they become justices. Imagine how bad it's going to be then. Because it's going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible. If you think things are bad now, you haven't seen anything yet. Because these people are not going to give us a moment of peace. And when they get into these court positions, when they get into these positions where they can dictate the law, they are going to amend the Constitution as hard as they possibly can. They are going to limit free speech. They're going to reinterpret it however they choose to interpret it. This is the honest to goodness truth. Do not forget that the Supreme Court, federal judges, have a lot of power in how they're able to interpret the Constitution. And then the Supreme Court has the absolute supreme power to interpret the Constitution however they choose to, regardless if it's a correct interpretation or not, which is the reason why the Supreme Court can overturn previous Supreme Court decisions. They can say that the Supreme Court of 1970 got it wrong in 2023. They can say, well, back in 1970, those people got it wrong. When it went to the Supreme Court in 2023, they got it wrong. We're going to overturn that decision, which we actually saw happen, not too long ago. And we're going to say, yeah, that they were wrong. We're changing that. So basically the Supreme Court can decide how they choose to interpret the Constitution. Let's continue on. It turns out we're not just talking about dumb woke college kids anymore. We're talking about a sickness originating on campuses and infecting our entire society. That sickness is illiberalism, intolerance in the truest sense, the unwillingness to even coexist with beliefs and ideas that deeply contradict their own. The rise of that unwillingness is a ticking time thingy that threatens to destroy our political order. America isn't like Sweden or Norway. We're not a small country of largely homogeneous people. We are and always have been a big, sprawling, ugly, beautiful melting pot of people from starkly different backgrounds with starkly different values. This only works if we're tolerant This only works if we tolerate each other's differences, no matter how distasteful we find them. If majorities start to view bad behavior as an acceptable response to beliefs that offend them, that puts a country as divided and diverse as the United States on an inevitable path to civil war. If we want future generations to inherit the America we cherish, we must arrest the rise of this dangerous ideology before it's too late. We start at the root of the problem. Civics education is failing in America, with only 22% of 8th graders proficient in civics, and it's getting worse. We need to improve and re-emphasize civics education and teach young people why past generations fought so hard for the things they increasingly take for granted or even revile, like the First Amendment. And we must reorientate our higher education system so that it is actively promoting free speech and open debate, not indoctrinating students against these basic American values. State legislators can and should defund public colleges and universities that do not respect their students' rights and fire and replace administrators who do not promote these values. It's no small task, but it's one we have to embark on, not to save our college campuses from the excesses of wokeness, but to preserve our liberal democracy for generations to come. Now, it's a great article, but unfortunately, we're past that point. We're absolutely past that point. Guys, the amount of changes that would need to be done, we basically have to clean house. You would have to clean house. It would be a task of great magnitude. Basically, you would have all those professors have to be out of the job. And it wouldn't be just the professors. It would be the people who are running the schools. Not just the professors, but also the administrators. We're talking all the way up the food chain to the president of the university. All of these people would have to be out. Every last one of them would have to be out. All right? Even this, guys, it goes deeper than that. We're talking about the policies at the university, like the handbooks, how they handle things. All of these things would have to be torn up and rewritten based around a view of fairness and and the law in and of itself that aligns with social policy and the Constitution. This would be a massive task. And guys, these people at the university, they would go ballistic. The administrators would go ballistic. The students would go ballistic. It would be terrible. And look at what they're doing. They're turning to mob acts of the mob of destruction, acts of destruction and chaos to get their way. This is the reason why they want to get rid of the Second Amendment so bad. Like I will tell you guys right now. I'll tell you right now. If the Democrats had a supermajority in the House and in the Senate, the first thing to go would be the Second Amendment. That would be the first thing to go. They would amend the Constitution immediately to either greatly restrict or outright get rid of the Second Amendment. They would get rid of it. So they would make it illegal for almost anyone to possess or openly carry a firearm. This would be their first step towards Orwellian behavior. Next, there's the First Amendment. And trust me, hear me when I say they would have no problem amending it. They'd amend the Second Amendment. They would amend the First Amendment. They'd basically get rid of those and replace them, because they would say that speech They say that speech and firearms are the greatest danger to our greatest danger to our democracy, and those things have to be controlled. Firearms have virtually no place in Western society, except for the people that we say are authorized to have them. And speech has to be controlled, or it can do grave damage to our society, and it would have very strict parameters on what speech is allowed and what speech is not allowed. And it basically put it the way YouTube puts it: if you're not sure if it's all right to say it here, then don't say it here. That's how YouTube says it. If you're not sure if it's right to discuss it here, then don't discuss it here. That's how YouTube puts it, and that's how the government would put it. If you're not sure if this would be protected, if this is protected by speech, then don't say it. In other words, avoid pretty much almost every topic that questions anything. All right? And if that happens, the internet would basically just be a place of just cat videos, people playing video games, and even then, the kinds of video games would be problematic. All right, and there would be no opinions whatsoever. Just people dancing on the camera. I mean, more and more resembling China and the great censorships of China. And like I said, majority of these universities are filled by by young women, and it's young women that are bringing us into this age of being silenced and canceled. We saw M2 and what M2 did to society, and young women are quickly driving us there. They're quickly bringing us to that place where we will no longer have freedom of speech at all. We will no longer have the ability to protect ourselves. And they're going to just keep on amending the Constitution, literally until there's nothing left. And that's why the only thing you can do is to walk away. Build yourself up, build your funds up, and walk away. Because, guys, you have to understand, Western society is kaput. It's kaput. And women basically, they have no chill. And you have to understand, the simps, this is how they like it. This is their way of survival. You need to be very, very careful of the simps, because you got a lot of simps running around the manosphere. And you're going to see more of them running around the manosphere as well as things get worse, trying to act like they are part of the manosphere. But you can figure out who the simps are pretty quickly when you listen to what they say.
What's something that's normally seen as unattractive in a guy that you find attractive?
Honestly, height. Like, I feel like if you're not, like, you can be the same height as me, and if you have a good personality and a good heart, like, I'm not going to care.
So you're not for, like, oh, he has to be 6'3", 6'5"?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Like, it's nice if you're tall, it's a plus, but it's not like a
deal breaker.
Yeah, it's not a deal breaker.
What about short kings, guys who are shorter than you?
Honestly, short kings are so rated. I think they deserve love too.
Why do you feel that way?
Me? Yeah. Oh, because there's a lot of short kings in my family, like my uncles and stuff, and they all have like amazing personalities, so like I get it.
Do you see yourself as like a 10 out of 10, like the baddest girl to ever exist?
No, I don't.
Do you think that if you thought of yourself that way, that you'd be like, nah, my man has to be 6'7"?
No, I don't think so.
Guys, so here's the thing: what's happening with women in Western society today. And I'll be honest, she seems like a okay person, but the truth of the matter is that for women who may struggle with finding that optimal man right now, a lot of women are basically saying that, if I can't secure a guy who is 6'4" and a millionaire, I'll go after a short king who is 5'7" and a millionaire. Just to be very clear, in Western society, in the United States specifically, the average height is 5'9". However, globally, the average height is something like 5'6", 5'7". In countries like the Philippines, the average height is actually 5'5". It's quite interesting. It's only in Western society that someone who is 5'7" or 5'6" is called a short king, especially when the average height in the United States is 5'9". So 5'7" would not be short. But it's just because of the way that, men are perceived in Western society. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But that's what we have to deal with, unfortunately. They like to talk about short kings, but in reality, guys, look at what's happening right now around the world. Women will be glad for just about any man they can get as things continue to get worse, as jobs begin to disappear and dry up, and the only other choice is only fools. You're going to be rushing to find a guy, And while there will always be simps, you have to understand that these are not quality men. These are not value men. These are not resourceful men. These are guys that would sell whatever they have to sell or do whatever they have to do just to smell a queef. And that's the reality that we live in, unfortunately. However, a lot of other women are going to be going after men who basically have, survival value that can provide. And these guys are not coming back around. Guys, I told you, the plan B guys, plan C guys, plan D guys, these guys are all gone. These guys are all gone right now. All right? Plan B guys are millionaires. Plan B guys are the millionaires and the billionaires. Plan C guys are the guys that make $50 or even $100,000 a year. Those are the plan come up guys, all right? Plan D guys are plan desperate guys, all right? So if she's desperate enough, she'll go with a guy that makes $45,000 or $50,000. Those are the guys those are the desperate guys, all right? Those are the guys that she's desperate, that she goes to when she's desperate. He may not be able to make her rich. He may not be able to buy her handbags all the time, but he can give her a roof over her head, pay her phone bill, allow her to get her nails done regularly, and basically give her enough so that she can transition from him to then a plan C guy, or preferably a plan B guy, because she has no interest in him whatsoever. Do you understand? Because the way it works is they basically monkey branch from one guy to the next guy, because they're always looking for the next best thing. But we're seeing it right now. We're basically beginning to see it right now, where you have a lot of women who are popping up in the manosphere, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm pro guy." But then some of these women, you can look at the way that they dress on some of these podcasts. Like this, you have a woman on a podcast, and she's talking about only fools, and about why women need to return to traditionalism, and everything is showing, and I'm like, what? Look at the blouse that you're wearing. Are the lack off, and it's like it's just kind of maddening. You have a lot of these women who who dress this way, who behave this way. I mean, these are the same women that were hanging out with these other women, dressed like these other women, behaved like these other women, but now they're virtuous. I mean, it's so bad that these women, it's like, well, you didn't even have time to clean out your closet because you see the writing on the wall, and you're now trying to pivot and pretend like you're something that you're absolutely not. And the Migglypuffs, they talked about this years ago, that women will begin to agree with you. They'll start to agree with you because that's how they operate. They'll, oh yeah, he's absolutely right. He's this and this. They're absolutely right about what's going on with women. This is what they'll do, and then they'll position themselves as an authority, I mean, if you look at the manosphere, Pearl has set up shop in the manosphere. She came into the manosphere and she rose to the very top of it. And you're seeing more and more women coming into the manosphere, and sitting and acting like they're so different than these other women when they're really not. You go to their Instagram and it's literally just bikini shots, nothing but thirst traps. And these women are virtuous. Women are rushing to get any man that they can right now. A lot of them are. Not all of them. Obviously, you have a lot of these women out there who are still making these crazy demands because they don't see the writing on the wall. Guys, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. A lot of people think that what's happening globally will hopefully just end in a couple of years. It doesn't work like that. These things usually go on for a decade or sometimes a couple of decades. All right? Like we're going to be in this thing for a while. We're going to be in this thing for a while, and it's not going to be easy. And when we enter into these things, that's when you start to see massive job losses. We're beginning to see all the tech companies are laying off. One of the reasons why you don't notice it right now as much is because a lot of people, specifically men, are dropping out or have dropped out of the workforce and are continuing to drop out of the workforce because men don't need a lot to survive. And somehow women think that the men who are walking away from Western society and Western relationships in Western society and Western society in and of itself are going to go and protect these countries. That's madness upon madness. These men have made it extraordinarily clear that they are not going to get involved. The only thing they're going to protect are themselves, their families, and their pets. It's the honest to goodness truth. You know, congratulations, ladies, you played yourselves. And I've said this already. Foreign women are fighting for Western men right now. All over the world. All over the world. Japanese women are fighting for Western men. Filipinas fighting for Western men. Women in Thailand fighting for Western men. They genuinely find these men attractive. Guys, you don't understand. Many of you don't comprehend this. Most women in Western society find 95% of men as unattractive. 95%. How, guys? That is completely abnormal. Do you understand? For a 95% percentage rate, that would be the end of humanity if people were to behave like that in the past. What it is that women have so many options right now, and they're all chasing after the same 1% of men, that the average guy doesn't stand a chance until they've had all their fun. And even then, the average guy still doesn't stand a chance, because unless you're pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year at the bare minimum, none of these women will even glance in your direction. And many of them believe that they deserve millionaires. A lot of them believe they deserve billionaires because they don't clean, they don't cook, so they can't even take care of themselves. How are they surviving? What many of you don't realize is that a lot of these women are living on personal debt. They have credit cards. A lot of them have like $68,000 in personal debt, which is another thing. Before a man gets into a relationship with a Western woman, one of the questions he needs to ask is, how much personal debt are you carrying? First off, what's your credit score? How much personal debt are you carrying? How much student loan debt are you carrying? These are important questions, because a lot of these women who make $100,000 a year are $300,000 in debt because they're spending way more than they're making. A lot of them think that they're so great, so they're going out and buying houses that they can't even afford, and then they're going to end up losing the house, losing their job, and then what do? Well, either they're going to have to choose homelessness because, guys, while women are bailed out of every bad decision that they make, their choices are getting thinner. They have to go and find themselves a simp, find a shelter, and the shelters are, and let me tell you something, it's not always that easy to get into a shelter, all right? There are a lot of shelters, there are a lot more options for women than there are for men, but it's not always that easy to get into a shelter, all right? And living on the street is hard. It's hard, it's difficult, it's miserable. I'm 38 and single, and I recently realized I want a child. I'm terrified I've missed my opportunity. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I can still picture it. I was 20, sitting on the kitchen countertop with my legs dangling over the cabinets. He was 21, leaning against the stove of the home he hoped we'd share. We've been dating for nearly 2 years, and we're at a standstill. I was clinging to my dream of moving 5 hours away to attend a design program at the Art Institute of Seattle. He wanted a simple life. Notice, check this out, y'all. He wanted a simple life with children and home cooked meals at a little resort town of Core, Deline, Idaho, where we met in 6th grade. So he wanted a nice, simple, happy family life. That day in the kitchen, we decided to stay together, and we each gave up something to do that. I would no longer pursue design school and the big city life I'd always dreamed of, and he'd forego having children and a wife who prioritized homemaking. Very sad. I made it clear to him that I did not see motherhood in my future and that he needed to be okay with that. 2 years later, we were married. My husband thought I changed, and I thought I could change him. I told myself that it was silly to go after my dreams, and that I should be content in the pretty mountain town where I grew up. But I grew resentful when he asked where dinner was or complained that his gym clothes hadn't been washed. I did little to hide my disdain for our small town life. He was a good and hardworking man, but I don't think I made him feel that way. We were young, foolish, and sweet, thinking our love would allow us to overcome our differences. We were also very wrong. Shortly after I turned 30, we divorced. We were both tired of sacrificing the things that were important to us for each other. I told my friends and family I'd never get married again. I needed independence, a fulfilling career, and space to chart my own course. And I didn't think marriage fit into that vision. I was content to look toward a future without a husband, children, or the trappings of a traditional life. I was in no hurry to get into a serious relationship after my divorce. I was terrified of repeating my mistakes. Nevertheless, months later, I stumbled into one that lasted 7.5 years. He was significantly older and wasn't interested in marriage or children, and we were focused on our careers. We expected little of each other aside from fidelity. We took trips, drank nice wine, and stayed out late. Basically, she was out in the streets. Without the expectations of duties of a shared mortgage or a family, we simply enjoyed our time together. When we were apart, we did our own thing. Those were great, easy years. Guys, women want easy, soft lives. It was an incredibly healing relationship, and ironically, I started to become the woman my ex-husband had wanted. I enjoyed cooking, cleaning, and caring for someone when it was my choice and when it wasn't asked of me. I'd been so preoccupied with preserving my independence and caring for myself that I hadn't realized how much I enjoyed caring for someone else and allowing them to care for me. I started to think I might want more than an easy, aimless relationship. I realized I might actually want to build a life from the ground up with someone who wanted the same thing. And while I knew that might take more work, it also felt like the type of connection worth pursuing. This is just madness. I felt restless, and I couldn't ignore that what I wanted had changed. Though we were technically together, we were living our own lives. That was exactly what I wanted and needed after my divorce, but autonomy was no longer my top priority. It felt like the relationship had run its course. He's a wonderful man, and we're still close, but we'd entered our relationship without intention or a shared vision of our future. We broke up shortly before my 37th birthday. Over the following year and a half, I dated around for the first time in my life. I broke hearts. Listen to what she said. I broke hearts, had my own heart broken, and did in my late 30s what many do in their 20s, basically. So she racked up a really high body count. I didn't know it then, but I was learning what I wanted and needed in a relationship. Ultimately, I want to build a life with another person, not simply join theirs when it's convenient. I began to feel an incredible urgency to find the relationship and stability to see me through the second half of my life. To my amazement, I began seriously thinking about marriage and children. I hardly recognized myself. Oh my. I also began to feel selfish for spending so much time focusing solely on myself. These are the same women that tell young women to focus on yourself, be independent, live. It's about the streets. And now she's pushing 40 and crying on social media. I went from proudly proclaiming I was too self-centered to be bothered with a family to realizing there was more to life than independence and pleasures of living for oneself. My very existence started to feel shallow and hollow. Now, months after that realization, at nearly 39, love it, I feel panicked thinking I'll be a single, childless, middle aged woman. I worry that my youthful looks will fade and that I won't be able to attract the man I want to spend the rest of my life with. Oh my gosh. So guys, this is madness. Madness at 39. She's already passed. Anything above the age of 35 is a geriatric pregnancy. If I sound desperate, it's because I honestly do feel a little bit desperate. So she is acknowledging that she is desperate. And if there's one thing that'll chase a good man off faster than anything else, it's desperation. At my age, I know that creating life may not be an option for me, and I worry that men who want a family aren't looking for a woman pushing 40. I get it. I'm no longer the ideal candidate for motherhood, and it's scary. It's a scary truth. But I still hope to find someone who thinks I'm the ideal partner and create our family together. She's looking for a simp. And of course, she has very high standards because she's not going to just accept just any guy. He has to make six figures, be at least 6 feet tall, and offer at least 6 inches. And those are the bare minimums. And of course, that's not the guy that she will love. That's her plan B guy. You guys have got to be kidding me. I understand the appeal of life without the constraints of marriage or children. For many years, I was quite satisfied living that way. I know people can live happy, purpose-driven lives without those things. I just don't believe I'm one of those people anymore. I know now that my purpose lies in having a husband and a family. I'm meant to care for more than myself. I'm looking for my love, for my forever person, and hoping he's looking for me too. Guys, this is madness. This is madness. This is the kind of woman who ends up on The Bachelorette, right? And she has a bunch of simps, and okay, you're gonna be my forever guy. And you know what's crazy about these guys on The Bachelor? All of them are just looking to get their career and get their money because they're all on there trying to become influencers. Like, some of them have been kicked out of the house for literally doing this. Like, they were just on the show to become influencers or just to get their music career going. A lot of these people, they file for PPP loans, for being while they were on The Bachelor, and there's a whole lot of these people being charged now for that. Guys, this is some crazy stuff. This is sad, 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 sad. All right. She had a great man who was hardworking, who wanted to have a family, but she did not like having to cook for him or clean for him. She didn't like doing his laundry, but he was a great guy who cared for her. She had a great marriage to him, but she wanted to focus on her career, so she threw her marriage away. He probably went and found someone nice and is living a better life. It's too bad he wasted those years because he was wasting them on a person who thought that she might change. She never did, which is something, guys, never think, walk away. And now, 20 years later, roughly, she's decided that she wants to be a mom and have a family and cook and take care of a person, although she still wants to do that on her own terms. So she wants to cook when she feels like cooking and clean when she feels like cleaning and take care of a family when she feels like taking care of a family. Guys, that's not how it works. If you have children, if you have a household, you don't cook for your kids when you feel like cooking for your kids. You have to do it every single day. It's a daily job. It's a regular routine. It's something that you have. And you know what's sad? These are also the types of people that try to go in and get in veto and try to do it all on their own, and then take out like massive amounts of money, on credit. They put massive take out massive loans on credit so that they can pay for their treatments, and in the end they still don't end up having a kid. Or if they do, they just become a single mother and then end up having to go on welfare or government assistance later on to subsidize it, because these women can't work anymore. Something she really didn't mention is the fact that a lot of women are getting burnt out. They're tired and they don't want to, there's a huge shift where they don't want to work anymore. I mean, I talked about this in another video. Women aren't turning to lazy girl jobs because they're work shy. They're significantly more burned out than men. Women pursuing lazy girl jobs, one with minimal stress, decent pay, or anything but lazy. But rather than shirking hard work, new research has found that they are actually just trying to escape burnout. Okay, while in fact, while men have become less burned out as bosses force workers to return to pre-2020 norms, women are still feeling drained. Gallup surveyed over 18,000 workers and found that 33% of women are almost always burnt out right now. Just a quarter of men feel the same way. And what's more, the burnout gap between men and women has widened from 3 percentage points in 2019 to 13 percentage points in 2023. And it's why, according to the research, women are increasingly looking for work-life balance from their next role. In other words, a lazy girl job. And while the anti-work movement is nothing new, with both men and women quietly quitting during 2020 and after 2020, Gallup's findings explain the recent surge in female-focused terms for rejecting hustle culture. Around 70% of women cite greater work-life balance and personal well-being as the reason why they're changing jobs, compared with 58% of men. And what's more, work-life balance is the top reason women would take another job, and it's more important than a big salary boost or job security, according to the study. Whereas significantly increasing their income was more important for the men surveyed. And then also, we should be talking about the fact that so many of these women are now losing their jobs to AI. The AI boom is the newest threat to women's presence in the workforce, and women are working at near record levels, and their spending is helping to prop up the U.S. economy, but their economic power could be threatened by the future of artificial intelligence. An August study by the International Labor Organization found that in high-income countries, 7.8% of jobs held by women have the potential to be automated, compared to just 2.9% of men's jobs. A Pew Research analysis from July estimated that 21% of U.S. women were employed in jobs that are the most exposed to AI, meaning there's a higher likelihood that women's work tasks could be replaced or aided by AI. 17% of men were employed in highly exposed have found a similar gender disparity. I mean, guys, it's crazy. It's crazy. And women put themselves in this position, and you've got Asian women like, Mayumi. I've talked about her in a couple of videos. She's a 33-year-old Japanese physician who's married to a military veteran. Her husband is African American. He's part black, part Asian. Oh, actually, he's okay. So he's of like Ugandan descent. So, but they live in the United States. This is very interesting stuff. And she's been talking about these women and calling them leftover milk ladies. And this is one of her comments. She says, "I've gone into this mode because I see the Western women demanding unacceptable things from men, and I'm happy to see relationships like mine pop up. My in-laws have the happiness, and because of my husband's father going into the military voluntarily and fighting love during a conflict, I get my husband. My husband's father wasn't a passport bro, nor was my husband. They chose a life of service." So, these women, they're in relationships with these men. They're foreign women. They're in relationships with these men. They were grateful to have these men. They're living their best lives. I saw another comment from her. I saw another comment from her where she basically said that, now she and her husband, they're actually thinking about starting up a YouTube channel to talk about, I believe, anime and manga, and she's a pediatrician, and they like dressing up in cosplay and stuff like that. And I mean, they're living their best life. And then you have all these single women who have basically nothing. You know, I saw another comment from her where she said that her husband brought her a ghost burger from Burger King. I think it's a ghost pepper burger, and she said it was delicious. And you guys, could you imagine? Like, you know, giving something like that to an American woman, like a Western woman, like, hey, here's a burger from Burger King. She would look at you like, how dare you? You give me this to eat? Excuse me? Like, this is the culture in Western society. This is how Western women behave. This is what Western women think. This is how they perceive reality. This is the level of entitlement. This is as their status is deteriorating in Western society. This is their thoughts, and they're not going to change. It's only going to get worse.
For years that you don't want. Let me get this straight. You have been telling men for years that you don't want them, you don't need them, they don't meet your standards, that they don't treat you right. You can pay for your own hair, you can pay for your own nails, you can afford your own home, you can afford your own car, and are good for nothing. You're strong, you're independent. Then you get mad when these men go to another country to actually find a woman that has the qualities that they are looking for in a wife. Make it make sense. I also want to talk about why this mindset that so many Western women have is actually extremely problematic. Because not only are you putting down the men who are going overseas with pure intentions, you're also putting down the women from these other countries solely off of the fact that they were not brought up in a Western culture. Because you're calling them uneducated, you're calling them poor, you're calling them weak, you're calling them vulnerable. You're creating a superiority complex where you are at the top and women from all these other countries are at the bottom. Now let me tell you something. If you were really superior, the men would not be leaving. And you would not be single.
Wow.
Sensational. Let's say we were together. Would you tolerate cheating from me?
Of course.
Now, why is that?
Because men biologically cheat. Because you can go sleep with a girl right now and it's just pleasure. For example, we're surrounded right now by a shit ton of amazing clubs. You can walk into the club right now, get stupid drunk, and just have a one-night stand, but you're still coming home to me, sleeping with me, providing for me, and doing everything you're supposed to. It's just biologically made. The men are going to go ahead and cheat because it's just pleasure. You know what I mean? It's status, basically, when men cheat.
But when women cheat,
it's disrespect, because when we cheat, it's a connection. Like, we cheat with intention, we cheat with emotions. You guys don't cheat with emotions, we do. So I don't think a man should stay with a woman that cheats on her.
now why wouldn't you feel insecure by finding out that I, was blowing another chick's back out?
As women, you're meant to be feminine and protect of the home and stay with your partner and take care of the kids. So if you're providing for me and doing everything you're supposed to, I would definitely tolerate cheating.
Guys, there's a lot of dudes in the chat and for that video, and they're basically going after her in the comments. They're saying that, this is she should not be tolerating cheating. She should, she's not, she's the kind that would absolutely cheat on you. But here's the truth of the matter, right? I appreciate her. Regardless if she ends up being a cheater herself, I appreciate her. Everything that she said is completely true. We need to stop pretending that these women are virtuous. Let me make this very, very clear to you. Sometimes you'll see a video. You'll see a video of these women who come from another country. And the crazy thing is that in the video, these women are there literally saying things like, oh, money is not important to me. It doesn't matter how much money the guy has. I just want someone who is kind. Money doesn't matter at all. She's lying. She's lying. But the thing is that Western women are so disconnected from reality that they don't know how to compete for a man anymore. These women who are overseas, even if they want a man with a lot of money, they will never say that they want a man with a lot of money. If they want a high value man, the highest of that, if they want a billionaire, they're not going to say they want a billionaire. They're going to say that they just want a guy who is kind, who cares about them, spends time with them. Basically, they're going to look at the things that a man wants in a relationship with a woman and then turn around and say those are the things that they want from a man. And they're going to look at the red flags. This shows you how unintelligent so many women in Western society are. Foreign women are going to look at the red flags that men have for women. Oh, like, say things like, I want a man who makes at least $100,000 a year. I want a man who at least has 6 inches. I want a man who has a 6-pack. I want a man who's at least 6 feet tall. They're going to look at those things. They're going to look at those things and they're going to see those as red flags. They're going to say, okay, so these are the things that men are going to look at as red flags in a woman. When a woman starts saying these things, these are things that are going to turn a man off. Saying that I want a man who makes at least 100,000, at least 6 figures or more. A lot of dudes, even if they make more than 6 figures, they're going to say that you only want me for my money. All right. Oh, I only want a man who's at least 6 feet tall. So that means that a lot of dudes are now going to say, you know what? I don't even want to deal with you then. Any man with value is going to be turned away from this type of thing. So what these women are doing is they're keeping their options open. They're keeping all options open and they're refusing to slam any doors closed. So now they have access to all of the men. Even if they don't want some of these guys, they are going to treat these guys with absolute respect. They're going to gas their heads. That's what they're supposed. They're going to tell them that, oh, you're so handsome. You're so attractive. I don't care about height. She'll say things like, I'm only 5'1", 5'7", you tower over me. Even if she wants a dude who's 6 feet tall, she's not going to say it. Because these foreign women are smarter. They are smarter. They are raised to be wives. They are raised to be mothers. They are raised to establish relationships and create families. So of course they know what to do. Western women are not raised that way. They are raised to be Miss Independent. And then when they get older, they don't know how to get a man because they think that all of their value comes from their appearance. But they don't seem to realize that as they get older, it's going to disappear. It's going to go away. And unfortunately, you have the older women today who've destroyed their lives, ruined their lives, following this type of thing, staying in the streets for 30, 40 years. And then they tell younger women that it's all good. Don't listen to what anyone tells you. I'm living my best life and all this other nonsense. And in reality, what they're doing is they're setting these young women up to fail because they cannot be honest with themselves. They would rather watch all these other women ruin their lives so that they feel validated they feel validated for the things that they did and the mistakes that they made, because so they would never have to admit that they made a mistake. This is the ridiculous reality of things, man. That's how ridiculous it is. These people are crazy, my friends. They're crazy. I don't know, because you got a lot of these. There's a lot of simps in the manosphere. There's a lot of simps in the manosphere. Let me make this very, very clear. A lot of dudes, they have a feeling they're just smarter than the average bear. A bear is a bear, but they're just smarter than the average bear. At least the average Western bear, that's not very smart at all. So they know what to say and what not to say. This woman is being completely honest. She is 100% right. People who are like, this is the society is collapsing and all this other stuff. Women have always been like, and we need to stop playing and acting like men are perfect. We are not perfect human beings. Because simps, for one, simps are terrible, terrible, terrible. But as men, we have our flaws. We can have a very beautiful wife at home, and while she can do every single thing right, there are a variety of different reasons for it. Like a lot of Japanese women, they're actually okay with their husbands cheating. And you don't understand. Like, I'll tell you this again, you can't own a woman. You cannot own her. She's not your property. That's why I always say it was just your turn. It was just your turn. There was this chick, a she was a YouTuber years ago, man, and it's like I know you're not supposed as a man you're not supposed to cry over spilled milk, but in my soul, it's like would it really have happened? It would have. I truly believe it would have. You know, she was in a relationship with this dude, but she didn't want to marry him, and she even like said to me, she even told me like, you know, he's been like begging her for marriage, and she's been telling him like, listen, I don't want to get married, you know, and she was being real with him, like telling him, listen, marriage is not for, it's not for us, you know, it's not for us. And she had kids from another dude, and then she had a kid with this dude, and it's like this man couldn't understand that it was just his turn, and you know, another YouTuber came into the mix, and like everything kind of fell apart, right? And I'm sure, and I think you know he got his turn. He went and he got his turn, and I never got my turn. And in my soul, it's something that I'm going to take with me till the end of my days. I mean, you're not supposed to go out there and you cry over a woman. There's a million women in the world, you know, and she wasn't even the baddest of baddest, but she was bad. And it's like I feel it was mine. It was mine. It was my turn. All right. It was my turn. And I'm not saying I'm entitled, but it was my turn. You know when it's yours. You know when it's your time. And I'm just like still hurting about this. Like I'll cry myself to sleep because it's the principle of the situation. It's the principle of the matter because it was my turn and I didn't get my turn. And it's like that's why David Goggins, he's right. There's always some dude out there hunting you. It's like no matter how hard you work, there's always some dude out there hunting you. Always some dude out there hunting you. So you have to stay strong because you have to stay hard. Because that's how this world is. That's how this world is. You know, and as a grown man, I'm recording this video right now. I want to cry my eyes out because I ain't get my turn. I ain't get my turn. It was my turn. My turn. And I didn't get my turn. Shoot. You know? I used to say this all the time. Boyfriends are placeholders. Boyfriends are placeholders. And typically, while I don't, at one point, you know, I had this concept where, you know what, I don't want to deal with girls who have boyfriends because it brings too much stress into my life. But then now, as I think about it, as I've experienced different things, she could be your girlfriend and she'll cheat on you. It's being real. It could be your girlfriend and she'll cheat on you. It really doesn't matter. The guy that she's currently with, it's just his turn. So if she wants to give it to me, I'm going to, and I want it, I'm going to take it. Are you kidding me? And if he has a problem with it, there's a thing called 911. Sir, there's a strange man outside. He's an African American male, approximately about 5'9", and you know, he's wearing jeans. He's wearing jeans, a white T-shirt, and you know, he looks extremely disgruntled. I'm scared for my life. I'm scared for my life. I'm not sure if he's holding an object. I don't know if it could be a Bible. It could be a firearm. I can't see from this distance, but he's been yelling at me. He's been very hostile. I'm afraid. I'm scared for my life. Could you please hurry up and get here? You know, oh my goodness, he's coming. He's coming towards me. He's coming towards me. Like, sir, are you in a safe place? I'm okay. But please get the police here immediately. Let them know that, you know, they need to protect themselves. They need to protect themselves before they get out of their vehicles. Because, you know, go there. I really go there. All right. I will smash your chick, and when you come looking for me, I'll have Blue come and drag you away, haul you out. I will plan it out. All right. I will know you're coming. I will know you're coming for me before you decide to come for me. I'll research. I will research you. I will know who you are. I will know your attitude, your temperament, all of it. I will know where you work. That's really how I roll. All right. That's really how I roll. I was sick for a couple of years, so you know, I'm a real nasty person like that. I could be really nasty. I'll plan it out. I will really plan it out. I will take your chick and enjoy every single bit of her. I've done it before and I will do it again. I'm just Guys, oh my gosh, I'm telling y'all, some of us have something inside of us. I know this some of y'all getting furious with me right now. Y'all listen to the video and you're like, oh, so that's the kind of person you are? I bet. Oh my gosh. I know some of y'all are angry right now. Like, so this is the person that you were angry this entire time? This is the kind of person that you were? Oh my goodness. Oh boy. I'm an older for my piece, but you know what? If I'm gonna hit, I might just hit. And when I hit, I'm gonna hit it right. I'm gonna hit it right. Oh my goodness. Oh, she was your chick. You don't own her. You don't own her. Listen to me. If I'm in a relationship with a woman and I find out that she cheats on me, I'm not crying about her. I'm not chasing her. I'm replacing her. And this girl understands that concept very well. She gets it well. Don't get me wrong. This woman wants a man that has money. Of course, she wants a man that has a good amount of money. All right? She wants a high value man. But you know what a high value man has? A high value man has options. She's not even talking about, I don't want to know about her or any of that. She understands her value. She understands her place. She gets it. Because as she gets older, she's replaceable. What does a high value man have? A high value man has options. And I respect the heck out of her. Because you've got all these simps in the chat, like, oh my goodness, our society is done. Women have always been like this. Women have always been like this. They've been like this since the dawn of time. Nothing has changed. Okay? You know, the 1920s and those glamorous days and all that other nonsense that we romanticize about. These people were as crazy in Hollywood back then as they are now. Guys, women have always been like this. Going out there and thinking that you're going to find this perfect woman who is virtuous and better than every other woman, no. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I often say that they are functionally insane. You know? Some just control it better than others. At a woman's core, she has, and she knows what her value is. And she understands that her looks will depreciate over time. Expect that high value man to always be at home with her. Don't expect that high value man to be 100% loyal to her either, because men cheat with their bodies, women cheat with their hearts. When presented with the reality of how the world works and how everything actually exists, a lot of women absolutely struggle to accept it. At the end of the day, women will always need men, but men do not need women. And as I've said before, where the manosphere is going is it's shifting towards men learning how to be alone. The future for women, come 2030, 45% of all women between the ages of 25 and 44 will be childless and single. Guys, women are going to be living in shelters. They're going to be living in their cars. They're going to be living in the streets. They're going to be living in the woods. All right? And society is going to look at women and say, how did women in Western society end up in this terrible state that they're in? And the honest to goodness truth is that they're going to turn around, women themselves, and they're going to blame one another. A lot of women will curse those who said that they were fighting for women's rights and fighting for women's freedoms for putting women in this situation. Because now they're going to be in positions of destitution. And these same women are going to basically say, listen, suck it up. Those of them that are still around, because many of them will run back into the darkness, because misery loves company. When men basically make mistakes, men, for example, I fucked up a lot in my life. Men tell other men, don't you ever do what I did. Versus women, when they mess up and they go down the wrong path, they double down. They double down. That's how women operate. They double down and they tell other women, oh, everything is perfect, even though they're crying at night, even though they can't even afford food, even though they're suffering. Misery loves company. And to validate their bad decisions, they will tell young women to do exactly what they did, so that young women will then too fall prey to the terrible to the terrible decisions that these same women chose for themselves, just so that they have others so that they can make others join them in their despair and their crap, so they can validate it. They're like, oh, look at this, all of these other women are doing it too. And then what are these women going to do? They're going to go and they're going to drag other women down with them. You see, this is how women absolutely operate. The male and female brain are wired differently. You know, men will basically try to save other men and save women. Women, on the other hand, will try to drag down other women and men along with them. It's shameful. It's shameful. It's shameful. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Because I think that it's a sad thing. Do you agree that the future for women is going to involve a lot of poverty and destitution because of the decisions that women have made, modern day women have made in society right now? You know, and by the way, guys, if you're still watching, you know, we're 2 hours into this. Let me know, guys, if you're still watching, then, you know, just basically throw up your signs right now. Say 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang, all right? Like, come on, get it up on the screen. If you actually watch all the way to the end of this video, you know, shout out to you, because you're the real G. So 2 hour gang, put it up on the screen. 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang, all right? And a lot of love to the 1 hour gang. A lot of love to the 1 hour gang. You know, although the thing is, like, if you made it all this way, then you're part of the 2 hour gang, all right? Shout out to the 1 hour gang, but put it up on the screen if you made it to this point. 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang, 2 hour gang. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Inflation is destroying the lives of modern women. They're crying on social media. They're breaking down. Some of them are even turning to doing lady of the night work. Okay? I want to know your thoughts on this, so we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA. Men walking away. And cheers.